Well, good evening and salutations, and welcome. Episode 160 as Baby Hammond has entered the fray, showing off the Oshkosh Bagosh baby look of the 80s. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Showing off that do as well.
That too.
Yeah, that kid right there looks like he's a future 5-star recruit from Alabama. So yeah,
From Alabama.
I don't know how a New Jersey liberal father put that thing out there, but that thing. Let me tell you something about that thing, and not that we have to go on this tangent, but
That thing?
yo,
It's your
that thing
son,
is
man.
that thing punches, bro. Like I'm getting like combo countered like this, like it's like a 1 2 3 4 type situation. But anyway,
You got to put on the gloves and give it back as good as you're getting.
no, it's funny. My 5-year-old actually does karate, and recently the session that they did was about block and blocking. So he learned his high block. The problem is that because the baby's short, we have to learn the low block as well, because he's so crafty
Enough
with his
said.
ankles. He finds the angle, and he's very effective in if you took the stats like a boxing like statistician, his
Yeah.
his hit percentage is definitely high. He finds a way to get that punch in there.
Yeah. Well, never forget the day that my youngest punched my oldest in the face and made her cry. It's kind of funny. Anyway.
All right, so
We
a lot
won't-
of
we won't mention
things going on here as we are talking about fatherhood and kids. So we have three divisions or conferences, if you will, starting in 2026. We have the Northeast Conference, which considers of the East Orange Renegades, the Patterson U, the Silk City Animals, and the Trenton BIC. Then we go to the Southeast Conference with the DC Buzz, the QC Crush, the Virginia Heathens, and the newest expansion team to our league, the Atlanta Inferno. That's the Southeast Division. Then the Southwest Conference, we see LA get back into the fray with the Compton Accelerators. Of course, we see the Insomniacs. We have Sick With It, the Silver State Stealth, the Gold, the Hunters, and making their return back to the A7FL in 2026 is OTT Over the Top. So if you look at
So we got 7 back in the division, huh?
Yeah, so we have a total of 15 teams here in this A7FL 2026 upcoming season. And also, not to mention, folks, the schedule is also out. And talk about looking to start the week with a bang in week one. We definitely have some bangers in week one for opening day, and we'll just run through it, if you will. Of course, as you know,
let's just do week one because I know it's subject to change.
TBD.
That's why I said week one. I didn't say anything about the whole damn season.
Yeah.
Come on, give me some credit. Good grief. I'm only on the.
I'll give you a lot of credit because you looked this up.
Well, I do try to read from time to time when I'm not sleeping in between working 2 jobs. But
totally
just a reminder, we are exactly 122 days, 14 hours, 25 minutes from opening day on March 15th.
See what I mean? This guy knows it.
In 2026. All right, so you know, season 12. So, kicking us off, and we'll start from the east and go to the west. So, the Atlanta Inferno in Atlanta, GA, make their debut and they will be hosting the DC Buzz. So the Buzz and the Inferno in Atlanta. In Maryland, it'll be the Heathens entertaining the QC Crush. Then, as we come forward, the two games of the day in the East. Never a dull moment when it's the Triton BIC. They will start defense of their title against the Patterson U, so we get it off right away with the U and the BIC, and then perhaps the real sexy matchup in the South, on the East Coast, the East Orange Renegades taking on the Silk City Animals. Those two games, BIC and Patterson U, Renegades, and Silk City, that'll take place at Asbury Park. Again, the Inferno will make their debut in Atlanta against the Buzz. In Maryland, it'll be the Heathens and the Crush, with the Heathens being the home team. Now, switching over to the Southwest or the West Coast, we have kicking us off at Matter Academy. It will be the returning Over the Top against the Silver State Stealth. So Stealth and OTT kick us off in Vegas. Then, will we get the same game we got 2 years ago when they opened up against each other in that 42-39 classic between Sick With It and the Insomniacs? That's at 1:30. And then the last game on the West Coast will take place in Los Angeles as the Vegas Hunters will make the trip to LA to take on the Compton Accelerators. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games to get you through your A7FL opening day. But again, we get you, BIC, we get Renegades, Silk City, and we get Sick With It and the Insomniacs to open up season 12 of 2026.
Man, that sounds like a not load of fun.
Yeah, that's a packed opening weekend.
That's one that you really gotta monitor the games because of, I mean, starting in the East Coast, it's dude, I got to start watching that in the morning when we're setting up for our games because I can't miss those. Those are some good games.
And as discussed on a pre-show call, I may be throwing a little cold water, but well, believe it when I see it. Believe it when I see it. Good luck to the Buzz. I'm sure they're currently all excited about that ride. And yeah, sounds like the Crush have a worse situation, so don't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? As you travel, this is part of the game, and all I could say is these teams got to be ready because I don't know what to expect out of what was the LA team's name?
The Compton Accelerators.
Compton Accelerators. So I am interested to see what teams came together from LA to make that team. It could wind up being a very good team. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they've got some players out there. So, gentlemen, we have the next top 10 that we need to jump into.
Do we really want to real quick speed run the list that we have so far?
Do we want to do the last 10, or are you talking about going from 50 and just recapping real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys.
Well, if you can do it quickly, then do it.
Yeah.
While I get ready to transfer from computer to phone and make my nightly commute to me job.
All right,
so
you do your thing. I'll do what we can for maybe a short time. We can call it a filibuster.
I've got it up right now. So
for your
if you want to go, I'll go, and we'll go back.
I got it. Ready? Previously on the other side of the ball. A7FL top 50. 50, Brandon Garst, Octane. 49, Russell, Stealth. 48, Snags, Sosa, Watchman. 47, Ramsey, Keith, by the way, Stealth. 46, Drew Ruffin, Crush. 45, Betts, Sick. 44, Murphy, Sick. 43, Shep, Stealth. 42, Mims, the U. 41, Quinn, Sick. 40, Quani Morgan, Animals. 39, Gerard Terrell, Sick. 38, Chick, Hawks. 37, Hammond Hawks. 36, Keno Thomas Crush. 35, Kyle Ward Renegades. 34, It's Him Jimmy Insomniacs. 33, Nick Mays Watchmen. 32, Deion Southern Sick. 31, Delron Simmons Hawks. And number 30, Mark Bagway BIC. So that brings us to Chris, number 29 on the A7FL top 50 of the 2025 season.
Yeah, man, and it's Zarel Wright from the
Number
Hawks.
29, Zuriel Wright Hawks. Now,
Yeah.
I can obviously speak on this young man. This is a guy who is not a rookie, but he was relatively new to the spotlight of the A7FL and on a Hawks roster that was made up of a lot of veterans. He was the youth, along with Delron Simmons, that kept us in games and kept us going for the rest of the season. He had a really great season at receiver. With 47 catches, I believe around 700 yards and like 4, 5, 6, or 7, 6 or 7 touchdowns. Kids somewhere are doing a hand motion. Good for them. He is an explosive talent. He's got the speed, but really what impressed me playing with him on the same field is the toughness. You guys might remember him from Hawks games. Guys kept ripping his jersey open. So Matt Ryan was talking about how he was wearing a vest because it was ripped in the front. And that's just the kind of player he is. He was the leading receiver.
He was a rookie,
Hawks.
right?
He is technically not a rookie. He had played earlier for the Snow Tribe. And actually, in limited time, he took a 3-on-1 return to the crib for a team that didn't score so often. So that was really important for them. But he's also an A7FL legacy player. His brother, Zakis Wright, originally was one of, played for a bunch of teams, notably Ryan DePaul, the Commissioners, when he played, his team, the Cardinals, and also for a team known as the Sayreville Bombers. Now, I know that's maybe a provocative name, but it's after a high school, long story. And the team that you would probably be familiar with that he had played for before was BIC. So Zuriel Wright, number 7 wide receiver on the list, but our number 7 wide receiver was so productive that he made it all the way up into the top 30. Number 29, Zuriel Wright, wide receiver, Old Bridge Hawks.
You know what? And I've got to kind of chime in because I had to go back and watch a little bit of your guys' games because, you talked about them and I wanted to see what this kid had. And I'll tell you what, I'm really interested. If you guys are back this coming year and doing your thing, I want to see what he has. I think he's definitely one of those players to watch in the upcoming season.
Yeah, you mentioned the teams that are definitely in. The Hawks are kind of in limbo. There's still a lot of time left, and I think a lot of guys are, especially from a team that had an older roster, probably their minds elsewhere. But we'll see. But he's definitely a talent in this league, and if he wants to play again, I know that there's other teams that have already, reached out to him. And deservedly in this list. And this isn't biased. If you look at the league leaders in receptions, in only
He's right up there.
In 6 registered games where a lot of guys had 7, 8, and 9 and 10, he had 47 receptions, and I think was either second or third in the league. And he actually had set the regular season record before Kason then broke it that same week. Later on that same day, and then Kason continued to play in the playoffs and rack up yards. But it was Zuriel Wright that was right there, stride for stride with him. So
yeah,
number 28. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, 29, but number 28.
Yeah, I was doing the move on. Number 28, Josiah Sal offensive lineman, defensive lineman, sometimes running back. Sick.
And sometimes big
tight
tight
end.
end.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you can say about a player that is kind of universal and can do so many different things. Like you said, he can play offensive line, defensive line, has great hands for a big man at tight end, and is very agile for his size. This is a kid that, you start to look at and break down film, and you start to realize he does not have a whole lot of holes in his game. He does not have he's not one of those players where you look at and you go, okay, he's big, cool, is he strong? Yeah, okay, that's about. No, Josiah is one of those guys that is, for the lack of a better word, he is one of those guys that if I'm starting a team, we talk about it so often, if I could get him and Kenny Mack on the same offensive line, the other team's in trouble. Just with those two players, the other team's in trouble. I mean, those guys are maulers, and they know their job, they know the game, and they are agile for big men. And with Sal, he's one of those guys that you just have to always account for, and I can guarantee you he is going to stymie your best offense or your best defensive pass rusher.
Yeah, and a lot gets said about the highlight plays that he'll make because he's a big guy. Definitely an athlete at that size. So when he gets the ball, it's a little bit more fun to watch than getting into the nitty gritty of watching the film of him, doing the thing that he's does better. And there's no question when you just watch the way that he's in control of his strength and his agility, as well as the willingness to throw his weight around in an A7FL league, which is full contact, no pads. You could tell that he is a D1 guy, and this is a guy that not only just shows you on the tape, but also legitimizes, I think, the Vegas division to people from the outside that may have a question on, like, well, how competitive are these teams? If they have the question, look at the amount of D1 guys that play consistently and well in this league, and see the guys that go up against them and hold their own. But not only is he the D1 athlete, he's also that dog mentality type of guy
Oh,
that
big
he
time.
wants to play football. He wants to play tackle football, and he's willing to do the things that a lot of guys that play D1, are glad they don't have to do anymore with this game. And why I think, it's just a joy to watch not only him get the thick boy carries and touchdowns, which let's be clear, no one cheers louder for than myself as well. But it's even more impressive to watch him protect his quarterback. And it makes me a little jealous that he's never been in front of me in that capacity.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that is for sure is with the ball in his hand, I've seen a lot of cornerbacks make business decisions on even trying to tackle him. So
I mean, shit. We take one of his highlights, and the guy who tackled him, we give him credit for in Keith
right?
Ramsey for
Yeah,
just even making the attempt. So
and
that's
holding on
our.
after he gets trucked.
And to be clear, I think this player, if in more games, right, because there was a couple of games that I think he missed, he might be
Yes.
higher on this list. But Josiah Sal, number 28. And I don't know if we got dubbed back, but I'm just gonna completely avoid the government here. We had an issue
Josiah
with
Sal.
no for
No,
number 27.
correct.
Because we didn't even know that a guy in Vincent Thompson was It's Him Jimmy, but we all know who the one guy in our league that goes by one syllable is. Even though there's other guys that try to use this moniker as well, there's a lot of Islander Samoan guys that want to be this, but there's
Oh,
really
Big
only
Wes.
one.
Big
Oops.
Wes.
Yep.
Number 27. Oops.
Yes. Big
Offensive
Wesley
lineman.
M. Yes.
I know his first name's Wesley. I never have known his last name, but he is the
It
offensive
starts
lineman
with
for
an
the
M, and
Insomniacs.
it's hard to pronounce.
Matter
Now,
of
here's
fact,
a hot take, gentlemen.
say again.
A, here's a hot take, gentlemen. A, he deserves to be here. B, now I didn't watch every snap, but the limited film that I watched and the limited games that I called, 27 for Oos doesn't seem out of place, even though he's a very valuable piece of that Insomniacs line. And unquestionably the fourth best lineman this year, according to the sources that we went through as we did the top offensive line. But he had an off year. If 2024 was the standard that he set, 2023 actually being the standard that he set, 2024 was his return to that form. I think there was a tiny bit of a little bit of a drop off for the Big Goose, and maybe only because of the opponents that I saw him block against in some of that film, because some of those guys were Trey Robinson, not Robinson, Trey Baskerville, which did give him trouble, especially early on in that game when the heat wasn't as much of a factor as it was later. And some of those guys on the BIC offensive line did give him trouble at times, but unquestionably a dominant offensive lineman. And the only reason I even bring up the fact that he maybe had a down year is because in those other years there was barely any, if there was at all, film on him that showed him struggling. And the fact that this was a down year or not, I don't know if you guys agree or not. You guys probably watched him more, but here's the thing: I am not diminishing his talent level or his ability at all. It's just he went from being, I think, 2 or 3 to being 4. And I guess this is my way of justifying it by saying he was not perfect in as perfect as he was in 24 and 23.
Well, and I believe, and I'm not sure. I'm looking at his Facebook page. So by the way, because sometimes they'll give you how to pronounce a last name, and
No,
I believe it's Maua, but I don't want to screw it up. But I think that's it.
well, you either did or didn't just now, but it's off the
Right?
record. It's off the record, so no one's going to hold you to it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just wanted to throw a hot take in there. Great player. 25, not as good as 24 and 23. What do you guys think?
Um, and to where he's placed right now, I think that it is not a bad spot for him.
Yeah, and he's a great player.
Yeah.
Monster offensive lineman. Wish I had him. There's 3 guys in this league at that position we say are better. But I'm excited to see what a motivated Insomniacs team looks like again. And if anything, for the Insomniacs, that championship that just happened will be motivation moving forward. So
I think
number
Big West. I think Big West will have a bounce back year in 26. I just believe that. I do.
I think that personally, this is just me. I'm not saying anything that I know or anything like that. All I'm saying is a motivated, pissed off Insomniacs team scares the hell out of me.
Well, are you
That's
getting
all
on
I'm
the field
saying.
against them?
What's that?
Are you getting on the field against them?
No, but it makes me nervous to watch them go up against some of the teams they will play because I know
Well,
that in
I
the
get
back
you.
of their minds, they're taking all their anger out.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, you could
They'll be
also look at it this
unleashing.
way: just
They'll
sit
be
back and
unleashing
enjoy
their
the show.
passion.
True. True.
So that's our number 27. Speaking of our former 2-time champs, number 26, Moses Smith, defensive end, Insomniacs.
Oh, this young man. Good lord. Where do you start? And boy, the ceiling is only going to get higher for that young man.
And I don't even know what to say because um, you would think as a rookie and at his age he wouldn't be the player he was. And I'm only saying that because to see a young player that is a defensive end being able to do what he was able to do in the league last year was pretty incredible. Um, as we lose Dub for a minute, because I'm sure he's switching over to his cell. But I really, to watch a young Moses Smith is just, he's one of those players that as he gets his feet under him, no pun intended, um, moving forward as a defensive lineman, dude, this kid's just going to get better and better and better. And to think that you can improve on the year he had is pretty impressive.
Yeah, this to me, Moses Smith kind of highlights the weird thing that I think is true and proved over the course of the regular season, but not necessarily in the championship. I think the Insomniacs roster was better this year than it even was last year, and one of the big reasons was the duo of defensive. Although I know the other guy also played offense, but the duo of defensive rookies that added a lot of dimension and depth, but also became the primary playmakers at their positions. Now, when we talk about the Insomniacs, the defensive lineman that probably gets the most respect from the opposing team um, is a guy that hasn't even made the list since AJ McQuaig, in my opinion, was the defensive player of the year in 2023. Last year, a little bit of not a bad year, but an off year. And this year, there was so much depth at the position. It was Cunningham and Moses Smith, who we thought were more impactful for the Insomniacs on the defensive line this year, and that's where we went with it. But to me, Moses Smith is both for the Insomniacs, but also the Vegas division, a
Mhm.
sign of the Vegas group of A7FL guys kind of really intuitively improving their roster and their understanding of the deeper kind of granular mechanics of the way that this game works by going from most of most of the defensive line in the Vegas division have always been the bigger guys. But with AJ McQuaig, even still a bigger guy, but definitely with the athleticism, I think Moses Smith is a guy that reminds me a lot of Ole Olajuwon Bell for BIC and Savage fame. It's a guy with a low center of gravity, a ton of upper body strength, and a lot of leverage as has that ability to stay low around the corner. And when you're talking about some of the bigger offensive linemen in our league, they just have zero chance.
Well, I
Listen,
mean,
what's going on? We got a ref changing his name for anonymity, so I don't want to call him out by government in the chat. Tuning in
Black baby
weekly to see
Jesus.
where I'm playing. Um, so I don't know. That's not about me. Last week I got a mention. But right now we're talking about a rookie in Moses Smith that, if you look at the stats, was one of the league leaders in sacks. But I think it's even more than that.
Well, I mean, Corey, you said it. Not very many guys. Moses has a low center of gravity, yes. But what I love about him is his ability to run the ring. And
Yeah,
when you see that, even when somebody's got their hands on him, he is able to maintain his balance as he's running that ring. And realistically, if in multiple games when Cunningham was there playing nose, Moses would force the quarterback right into Chris Cunningham, and
right.
there
Because you
was
would have to
not a
climb
whole
in the
lot of
pocket.
places he
Yeah,
could go
yeah,
from that point.
yeah. And it's that leverage. He knows how to play with leverage and
Yes.
and prioritizing speed over the overall body size when you're building an A7FL defensive end. Um, the next defensive end on our list is one of those guys that breaks that mold. But I think if teams want to have successful pass rushers, they look more to the Keith Ramseys and Moses Smiths of the world than they try to find a guy like Josiah Sal, which just very rarely exists in just your normal day to day,
1,000%.
society. So that's Moses
Now
Smith.
this
That Dub, go ahead. This is your guy, so I just wanted to make sure you had
now
your
now
opportunity.
now now I don't want to say that AJ McQuaig has become the forgotten man, if you will, but it almost seems like he has been like forgotten the quiet man, and simply, I mean, he's earned it based off of reputation and what he did in 2023. But it seems like people keep forgetting that he's still there because of the improved play of Chris Cunningham and, of course, the tremendous talents that is Moses Smith. But I mean, just AJ McQuaig will still have a say, and I guarantee you he'll be ready to go in 2026. Um, so,
1,000%. And I think that
but
part of that too is not a forgotten piece, but more of the fact that teams stay away from him because they know what they're up against. So I think teams literally, you see quarterbacks motion away from him. They when they get out of the pocket, they tend to run to the other side, and that is should tell you all you need to know about the threat of a sack coming from AJ.
very well said.
So Moses Smith is our number. I was hoping Corey was on that.
26.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yes,
Which
26.
and we it seems like we got a theme here. Number 25.
I think we do. And number 25 being Danye Lyons of the Insomniacs.
That's the three in the row that they got. It's not the three in the row that they wanted, but it's the three in the row that
In
they
the row
got.
that they got, yeah. The thing about it is Danye was number one on this list last year. Now, you could say, oh, he slid. You could say pretty much anything you want. The fact of the matter is the situation with what the play that happened, to nobody's fault for anything for last year. He didn't have the games that he had 2 years ago when he was number one, or 2 seasons ago. I shouldn't say 2 years because it makes it sound like I'm talking about 2023. But the situation with it is we took that into consideration when we put all this together. And yeah, it's not truly a knock against him because he was still very high on the cornerback list and the returners list because of his capabilities. And I think that a full year with Danye again, all it's going to do is show the dominance that a cornerback like him can have in the league, and how he can shut down one side of the field.
Well, and I think what this specifically shows is that when you're a guy like Danye Lyons, not that he cares about it. Obviously, I don't think specifically this player cares about this. But if you're a guy that wants to be in that number one spot, what the Insomniacs showed is that they added a rookie this year that outshined Danye at the corner position based just purely on interception numbers, but also maybe the flash in which Prime played the position. We did have a couple of games where we missed Danye and he wasn't in, so that definitely affected his positioning. But also, he was not used as often as he was on the offensive side of the ball as he was last year. And to no fault of his own, he still had 100% return ratio in the championship game, but he only had the one opportunity. And it seemed like not that he was worse, but in the moments at corner in the championship game, where in 2024 he seemed to have locked down his assignment, which was Ashanti Worthy. There were times in which, whether it was the design of the play and there was supposed to be a switch or miscommunication on the defense, or that the BIC wide receiver, whether it was Campbell or Ashanti, just got the better of him, he did have a little bit, lower quality, and only by a little bit, film than he had in the previous season. So this is not a knock on Danye Lyons, but kind of an evidence that we're not going based on actual talent level or reputation, but it's not unfair to say that in the same defensive backfield, there was a player that looked like a better option at corner than Danye at times. But no disrespect, we're talking about a guy we have listed as the 25th best player in the entire league, and that's with missing time and all of the things that we said to kind of caveat this. Danye Lyons is not only a clutch performer, a champion, and a true winner. He's one hell of a fucking player. So,
Right?
Dub, you got anything on Mr. Lyons?
Well, I mean, the take is a very rightful take. Now, obviously, him and Devin Clark, they were supposed to be playing for this national flag team, and then of course that went to the wayside, and then they made their returns. But I mean, it's just again, as I've said so many years for so long, when you have tremendous depth like the Insomniacs have, sometimes that will hurt your status on trying to get to a countdown. But of course, they're all about team anyway. Always have been, always will be. They'll be like the accolades are nice, but at the end of the day, they want the one team goal, which is to win. But with that said, and Corey, you made the point very so eloquently when you talk about sometimes a wounded animal is the most dangerous animal, and the insomniacs will lick their wounds. But now, as you said, they might come back even more dangerous, even more focused in 2026, like they were in 2023.
Yeah, and if Danye's hungry and the other guys that are in a row right here, this three-peat they have in this list, um, if they come back with that mentality, good luck to those teams they face in the Vegas division. So that is our number 25 player of the top 50, which brings us to number 24, which is Isaac Negron, the sack leader again. Pause, I guess, but the defensive end from BIC, and all the things I said about the smaller, quicker guy. I guess throw that out in the garbage because this guy has somehow had a resurgence late in his life. A little known fact about Isaac Negron, a recent player of the year on the defensive side in the A7FL. When I was still in college and hadn't played A7 yet, and it was Town Beef back then, Isaac Negron made his debut in this league as a 170-pound running back. so
Nice.
so times change. We're going from a young man that was basically right out of high school to now he is a law enforcement officer and a defensive lineman. So all the way from scat back to defensive tackle, Isaac Negron led the league in sacks on a stacked roster of defensive linemen for BIC. So all of those guys are the guys that we talk about on the live streams and the pregame, and it was Isaac that was just racking up the numbers, and he let Cole Gardella, our statistician, know every week what his numbers were to just make sure that he didn't get gypped his numbers. But he's a deserved number 24 because, like I said, even on a stacked defensive line for BIC that has a lot of name recognition, it was kind of the guys on the interior, similar to what you were saying about Moses Smith funneling tackles to Chris Cunningham. It was great defensive end play that funneled quarterbacks and running backs into the defensive tackles for BIC that seemed to be on every play. Isaac Negron here on our list and a guy later. Um, but the stats don't lie, and he led the league in sacks, guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's saying a lot. And this isn't just his first year leading the league in sacks. So that's something to be said there too. So I mean, it's not like
In the past 3 seasons, he's the overall leader if
there
you
you go.
total everything too. So
I mean, that's quite saying a lot when you say, talk about one player that has achieved that much. And BIC is a damn good team. It's not like you can sleep on them by any stretch of the imagination. The only time that I see them have down games is when they're not, don't have their full rosters, but they're still able to pull out games. And I would say that Isaac is one of those reasons, because he still brings it every single game.
Yeah. He's a great player, a good ambassador for the league. Early on in the A7 at championship games held at Roselle Park, he would DJ as well. So he's an eclectic individual.
A man of
Um,
many talents.
and he is our number 24 player of the top 50. Which brings us to a very interesting entrant, and he's really high up, and he's one of the higher rookies on this list. Spoiler alert: this list is going to finish with 3 out of 4 of the next guys are rookies.
Yep.
Very impactful rookies at that. But Damon Smalls, who during the lives I was calling the notorious enormous Smalls, the defensive end, wide receiver, running back for the Renegades. It looked it looked shocking at times, but going from one of the bigger guy, going from one of the only guys on a defensive line that could make Dondre Haynes, Megatron, look like a normal sized person, to then playing running back and wide receiver for the Renegades and making big time clutch plays in their biggest go-to moments of the season. It was Damon Smalls that had a huge conversion and touchdown catch against the Crush that kept that game close. He made big plays against BIC in both of those games on both sides of the ball, and he was an absolute monster in the trenches. He is huge. And then you go from having to worry about him as a ball carrier on offense, and then you throw him in at running back, and now your defensive players have to tackle him.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's let that play out for you all year.
Yeah.
Or
Number
excuse me,
23.
all game.
Yeah, number 23. And look, he wasn't like an every down back. So we had him in as an athlete, just a versatile guy that just comes in. But there were times where they would split him out wide receiver and just throw him a jump ball, and then he would just make the catch.
I mean, those type of athletes are, people will kind of look at it and say, oh yeah, we've seen plenty of them. But the thing about it is, when you have a player that is a 50-50 ball catcher at a receiver, and when you throw it up, it's not 50-50, it's more like 70-30 or 80-20. That gives, and look, I'm speaking for a quarterback as a wide receiver, which is funny, but I would think that, Corey, that just gives you peace of mind when you're getting close to the end zone or when you need a first down.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things you can coach and teach and game plan for, but when you got a guy that's like legitimately like 6'4" minimum, I think he's probably like 6'5", 6'6", and he's athletic enough to get down the field far enough to threaten a corner. I mean, you tell me the corners in this league that you would even, hypothetically want in that matchup. Maybe like William Carswell, and that's about it.
He'd be the only one. I mean,
like nobody's got that height. I mean, there's guys that have the technique that could probably get away with it.
Yeah.
By like just getting into a good hip turn and blocking the offensive player off from a good pass.
Now, I don't know what his 40 speed is, but I mean, if you're fast enough,
it's not Danye's, but it doesn't have to be, right? So
no, it doesn't.
It's fast enough. And when you're
if
moving,
he just knows how to move and how to stack a corner, that's enough.
And he's a guy that comes to this league with the will to play tackle football, but this TMU infusion into what the Renegades were and now are with them. He's a rookie in the A7FL, but he's a vet in playing flag, running around full speed. The game is about speed and agility, not, brute strength. He's proven that he's a valuable member of that flag group. So when you give him the ability to just now play that and tackle football, you can see why his skills translate easily to the A7FL stage and why he was our number 23 player of the 2025 season. Which brings us to a guy that, for the offensive line episode, Dub did the right thing as a journalist and investigative reported by reaching out to sources. Our number 22 player of the 2025 season is Skylar Lash, BIC offensive lineman. And Dub, you got that straight from Kenny Stansberry's mouth.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I always talked about, who is your unsung guys, you know, who is the people on your team that do not get talked about the most. And he mentioned Skyler, and we saw firsthand of how he was able to basically be that guy that Dave Valley was the previous season for BIC in making sure that Sterry Condren had a clean pocket to throw in. And well, when you don't throw any interceptions at all, and more than likely is going to be the MVP of our league as yesterday the votes have been counted, and you know it all looks towards another MVP for one Sterry Codrington. But um, just of course we always talk about great feet, which you need to have to be a very good offensive lineman, especially when someone is as mobile and agile as Sterry is.
Hmm.
So he is
Yeah, you're
very
not going to be able
deserving.
to just do the good old 100, 2 100, 3 100 and
No,
let go of your
no,
offense or your defensive lineman.
not at all, not at all. But hopefully he can add to his prowess and also add to his repertoire as the BIC tries to go for the one thing they have not done, which is still shocking to say, but the U have repeated, the Insomniacs have repeated, and despite the fact that the BIC have won 3 championships in this league, they've never gone back to back. So
Hmm.
we will see how that will unfold in 2026 as they open up against their rivals, the Patterson U. So, but Skylar, very earning of being in this award. Like I said, Stansbury just put him out there, and you saw firsthand. Like I said, Sterry. I mean, that's not to say that the Insomniacs were not getting pressures because they were, because it just seems like Moses Smith and Cunningham were always in the backfield. But again, there was enough blocking with Skylar's help to make sure that Sterry stayed elusive and hit his target with that precision that Sterry Codrington can hit a receiver with.
Yeah, earlier in this show, I alluded to this, and it was framing from the Insomniac side. The Insomniacs were better on their roster this year. Um, BIC was worse than they were last year, and my reasoning for that was the loss of Dave Valley and how dominant he was as a player. He did play in the championship game. He played very little throughout the rest of the season because of injury. He gave BIC what he could, but you know he was missed. But that's just my perception of what the roster says. When you look at what actually happened on the field, BIC won all of their games. The Insomniacs didn't three-peat. And even though the BIC had a lot more close games on the lead up to the championship game, and I think one of the reasons why is that going from Dave Valley and a guy they called Big Dippy to the guys that were playing line for them this year, there was a tiny bit of a drop off. But that drop off still consisted of keeping their quarterback safe enough to be second in the league in rushing and lead the league in passing with 0 turnovers. And a lot of times, guys, why do quarterbacks turn the ball over? I know this very well.
Pressure.
It's not because
Pressure.
I'm an idiot, which may be part of it. If you get pressure, you're more likely to have to rush a decision, make the wrong decision, or not be sure with the decision or be off timing, which leads to turnovers. So when your quarterback has 0 turnovers, your offensive line did a great job. And Skylar Lash is our number 22 player of the 2025 season. And guys, we could probably talk about these next two guys for a while because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
But number 21 actually kind of ties in a little bit to our number 20, and we'll obviously talk about 20 at 20. But 21 is Anthony Service, the rookie quarterback for the Renegades, the TMU guy that came in, and it's not a hot take, guys, to say that if you only saw the BIC games, the Renegades BIC games, and that was the only tape that you watched of Anthony Service this year, that Anthony Service is the best quarterback in our league. Now that's a huge caveat because there is other film out there, and I'm not going to say that it's the truth, but there are people out there that saw just those two games of Service. They likely think he's the best in the league because in those two games he looked like it, guys.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He did everything but win the game.
Yep. And when you have a player like that, he becomes special. And the thing about it is he was also not just one of the leaders for quarterbacking, but he was also one of the lead rushers in the league. And he was able to keep a lot of stuff alive because of his legs, not just his arms. And Corey, I think you were going to say something, so I'll let you.
Yeah, listen. I had a lot of fun calling his games, and what's funny is I missed the games in which I don't think that he was not as great. There was those turnovers at the end of the game against BIC that I think, even though there was a lot of if we really want to break down those games, and I think if we have CP3 on, I'm sure he'll bring it up. There was a lot of controversy late in that game, the playoff game, BIC Renegades. And if we went play by play, there's a lot of things that we could say this and that. But the turnovers at the end there, I think, were the difference in what kind of, shot the Renegades season.
Well, one of them was a fumble, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was one of those fumbles that I think if you're really looking at that play and breaking it down, the quarterback has to make sure that it's not a turnover there. That's the only way
Agreed.
that BIC gets the momentum back in that moment. Because it was I do believe, and shout out to Justin Shepard, I do believe that fumble was in the red zone for the Renegades to take, I think, the lead.
I think you're right.
So
I'm like 99% sure you're right.
That important of a play. Now, look, I don't always want to be this guy, but let's put it this way. There's leagues that Anthony Service plays in where ball security doesn't matter even one iota, because being touched on your hip is not going to dislodge the ball, right? Now, you could go for the strip, I think, and flag, so that's obviously not 100% true. But if he had the awareness there to maybe just tuck it, play another down, we might be talking a whole different conversation about what the future of that, like the alternate future of that season would have been. But again, I don't want to take away it. I'm such a grump. There's so many guys on this area of the list that we've mentioned, and then I'm a Debbie Downer over here being negative. But no, listen, that throw off his back foot, rolling left over the top of a defender to the top shark in that game. The only reason I wasn't screaming at the top of my lungs, ruining the broadcast, is because for whatever reason my mic cut out, because I was going absolutely insane when that happened during the live. I wish that some people could have heard how insane I was going over that throw. And it's a throw that I've only seen Quattrell Huffin make and Mark Bagway. Right, those are the only two guys that I've seen roll to the left off back foot, perfect throw the way that they did. You're in short
it's all
company.
arm strength at that point,
and the different appendage that real men have. But it's listen, number 21 on our list, deserving. one of the most fascinating players to watch this year, and a guy
And
that
I
if he
think he will be
commits,
to come because
yeah,
he is a rookie.
if
Or
he
excuse me,
commits
he
to this
was a
league,
rookie.
yeah, if he commits to this league, it's going to be a really interesting matchup if we hypothetically get it between David Tender and Anthony Service week
Yes,
one.
Oh
yes,
yeah,
yes.
oh yeah.
Damn it,
It's
yes.
going to be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah. Black Baby Jesus and Cool Case Way are lying to you if they actually give a shit about Corey Hammond. The future of our league are those two guys, and if you get to watch them, I think we'll be good. But then, guys, that does bring us to our number 20 and final player of the night. Um, Stop me if I sound like a broken record, but this rookie quarterback came into the league and impressed almost immediately, but left a lasting impression with a guys. If I told you, if you watched the film of this guy against BIC and only that film, you would say he's the best quarterback in the league. Wait, I already just said that about number 21, didn't I?
Well, the only difference is, and this is just from my perspective and what I saw, I did not see, other than maybe one or two games during the regular season, where he was, easiest way for me to put it, did not bring it in those couple of games, and don't know why or what happened. Can't speculate. Didn't talk to him afterwards. But our number 20 player is Kenyon Stone King from the Sick With It. And the way he played, and it wasn't just in the game versus BIC. There was also other games throughout the season that he had multiple touchdowns. I mean, his first game, he had, I think, 4 touchdown passes. And between him and Richardson, his wide receiver, those two connected so many times. I don't even know. I'd have to look it back up to see how many touchdowns Trevon
I think it
Richardson
was like
had.
I think it was like 12 or 17, some.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's a lot.
and when you look at the touchdowns that he was able to throw compared to the interceptions, I don't think that he had too many interceptions as a rookie either.
No, I think
So
he had less than Service. He only had, I think, 4. Service had, I think, total of 5 or 6. But it really, the there was more growth from week one for Service to the end of the season than for, excuse me, for Stone King from week one to the end of the season than for Service, because Service came out firing week one against BIC. But again, that performance against BIC, you saw him. It looked like Stone King put it all together, and it
yes,
was a culmination of all of the successes and all of the failures over the regular season and his rookie season. That in that game against the eventual champions, he looked better than David Tender did against BIC. He looked better than Scott Hamilton looked against BIC. He looked better than OG Buck looked against BIC. He looked like one of the best quarterbacks in our league. And like I said, if you only watched that game, same thing for Service, right? I think it's just funny that you could make the same you could make the same statement for both.
right,
No, well, without question, and I've said this verbatim. That was his best game he played that season. And the irony is, albeit in a loss, but he was fantastic against the eventual champions, and just it seemed like he hit his stride in the second half, where it was just drive after drive after drive. They would score, 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 and we talked about it. If there's a bounce ball here, bounce ball there, who knows what might happen, because there was a moment in the game where the ball was tipped in the air and Deion Southern was inches away from getting it. If he gets that interception, who knows what happens in that game. But I
very,
mean,
very true.
but again, he'll have a chance to make up for the one game that he did struggle in, as Sickwit and the Insomniacs, for the second time in 4 seasons, will open up the season against each other. And of course,
Wow.
2023, that instant 42-39 classic was one of our all-time greatest games, certainly here in Nevada. And well, I mean, they've given us two great games. Um, as if we're talking about just regular season meetings, it's a 2-1 Insomniacs advantage.
It's going to be, the thing about it is we've got so many great young players coming back. And of course, I got to say, hopefully, because until we see rosters, I can't sit here and say for sure. But we've got so many great players and so many great young men coming back to play this game. I think that the 2026 season is going to be extraordinary. And I think everybody should be ready for that, for the games that are coming up.
Yeah, guys. So to recap, number 29, Zuriel Wright, wide receiver Hawks. Number 28, Josiah Sal, offensive line, sick with it, as my wife is judging me. Number 27, Oos, offensive lineman, Insomniacs. Number 26, Moses Smith, defensive end, Insomniacs. Number 25, Danye Lyons, cornerback, Insomniacs. Number 24, Isaac Negron, defensive end, BIC. Number 23, Damon Smalls, athlete, Renegades. Number 22, Skylar Lash, BIC, offensive lineman. Number 21, Anthony Service, quarterback, Renegades. And number 20, Kenyon Stone King. Maybe the best name. He would win the all A7FL names, I think. But the quarterback for Stick With It is our number 20 player, which rounds out this episode, leaving you guys with an opportunity for one last final thoughts.
Dub, I'll let you go first.
Um, if the schedule stands as it is, from what we talked about earlier in the broadcast, the matchups that we have for week one is as dynamic of a way to start season 12. I mean, we're talking about you and the BIC, Renegades, and the Animals, Sick, Insomniacs. I'm interested to see how the Hunters will pan out going to LA to take on the Compton Accelerators. Anxious to see how the Inferno in Atlanta get their A7FL career off the going. I mean, it's exciting to see. And again, March 15th, we throw it off one more time for season 12. I'm excited to see these top matchups. Good way to start the week. Good to see that OTT has thrown their name back into the fray. We'll see how that goes. How will the Stealth come into their second season? Can they build off their momentum? Can the Gold add another win to their win total from a season ago after finally getting on the board and getting their first ever win? We'll see. Good to see LA back in the fold. Hopefully, eventually we can have a Ace NFL Northern California team. I know I'm being a homer, but that's something I would love to see. But just excited to see what's going to happen in season 12, March 15th, when the journey to the Sevens Championship on June 28th makes its way.
And for me, for my finals, it's pretty simple. I'm glad OTT's back. My question mark is, what does the Stealth look like with some of the players that were with OTT? Are they going back? So a lot of question marks for those two teams. Very much looking forward to the 2026 season. Glad we're starting a little bit earlier in the year, because that drought of football, no football, kind of sucks in between Super Bowl and the beginning of our season. So very much looking forward to it. But bigger piece than that is we got Thanksgiving coming up. We're going to be here next week. I don't know what we're doing the night before Thanksgiving yet. We'll let you guys know. But, all I could say is, take care of each other, because nobody else will.
Actually, we're 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that we've got next week and then the week after, and then who knows what we're going to do for because next week is the 19th, and we'll be right before Thanksgiving the following week. So
Well, Le Croûte de Grès, Saskatchewan, Montreal, this Sunday. So there you go.
my Argonauts aren't playing. I don't care,
Oh, Canada,
and I'm the only one that's Canadian on this show.
our home and native land.
I'm just joking. Yeah, so my party shots in relation to what you guys are talking about, OTT. No, G Herd, you can't have the jersey back. It's mine. The answer's no. That's it.
All right, fellas. Well, thank you again. Dub, I'll let you do your closeout. You do it way better than I do.
Oh, stop it! You do fine when you have to sub in for me, sir. Give yourself some credit. But no, thank you for joining us. As we've now reached the top 19, there's only 19 slots left in the top 25 of
Crazy.
or the top 50 of 2025.
Top 50.
Let me get my numbers and my words right. But as always, special thanks to our panel, Chris and Corey. Special thanks to Will Franklin for being Will Franklin, and cool case Justin Shepard chiming in and saying
Black
hello.
Baby Jesus.
Again, the votes were counted, and it ended yesterday, so you actually see the results. It was a very good day for Prime Shannon Allen, to say the least, as it looks like he will be receiving multiple awards for 2025. But the results from the voting are on A7FL.com, along with the schedule for this upcoming 2026 season. And we're still hopeful to get the owner of the Atlanta division on here to talk about the Inferno and why ATL decided to get into the A7FL. So hopefully we'll have that interview for you coming in the near future. But for Chris, for Corey, I'm Double A. Thank you for watching episode 160. And we will see you next week. And we'll see you on the other side of the ball. Take care. Tots off for now.